So, December? You're right, so whatever, yeah.
Actually, you'll probably watch a film. Maybe we'll watch that.
That's right, I hope. Wait, we're getting a different view, or what?
Yeah, this is not a choice. We need a sign seat. We're working on it. We're going to work on it.
We'll do that next week.
Next week? Yeah.
I love it. Okay, we ready to roll? Good to go? Good? Well, obviously, this is an exciting time for everybody, and I know our guys are excited. You can kind of smell it in the air. Opening weekend, really excited about, getting back in the swamp and, getting that energy back. And, I think, as I said, time and time again, that that energy in the swamp was unbelievable last year. Now it helped us every time we were there. I just, hopefully we can keep grabbing that and keep building on it. As we get ready for this week, it's really, as we talk about the opponent, Coach Whipple obviously is a guy who's won a national title there when they were 1AA. He's a guy that I've obviously studied over the years, his NFL background, the things he did offensively. Got a ton of respect for it when he was at Miami with Randy. We ended up, a good friend of mine there, their O-line coach at the time, came with us to Alabama. And I think he just does an outstanding job. Obviously, the running back is a guy that we've got to make sure doesn't get loose. Had 100 yards against Notre Dame a year ago. And I think he's got some tight ends that he kind of likes. They're more H-back types a year ago. Obviously, the big transfer that was a freshman All-American at Penn State, getting a year for him there. And he does a lot of things formationally, which, we've got to be really sound in everything that we do. As you look at him on defense, I think it'll be a great test for our offensive line with their line movement and the things they do up front, bringing 5 guys from all kind of different angles and different looks. A lot of voided zone stuff. Luke's going to really have to do a great job of keying safeties to know what's going on. And yet, really about first games, it has as much to do as anything with about what we're able to do. And really it's about us. In everything that we try to do and try to accomplish, they've had a whole off season. We've obviously broke down 2 years of their film. About the fake punts that they run, in big games that show up. It's really about the unknown, and that's the great thing about opening games, because they've had the whole off season to make some changes. I think the key is playing fast, being sound in what you do, and making sure that you're able to adjust to whatever comes up. And that's the exciting thing. And for us, being able to open up in the swamp, I'll say it, and I don't think I know it won't ever get it. There's something special about that place, and it's really cool on game day. The energy and what that's all about. So looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. I want our guys to enjoy it. I want our guys not to get uptight in any way, shape, or form, but, light their hair on fire and go out and have a good time. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm excited. We were able to get, obviously, some early prep a week, at the end of last week. Carry that over for a Monday practice. We kind of go in the evenings. We give them a chance during the day to get some things done over in the academic center during the afternoon. Then we'll bring them in, have some special teams meetings, some team meetings, grab a bite to eat, and then head out there in the evening for for a Monday practice in Spiders. As we look at kind of injuries for this week, you know, we're going to test C.J. Wharton will be out there today in limited reps. We'll kind of see how he is. Andrew Mike should be fully back. Jordan Conkrite should be fully back. So kind of feel good there. Goolsby's still a little banged up. But, you know, I'm expecting him to be able to go as we get going through later in the week. So other than that, we should be in pretty good shape. Like I said, I think the big thing for us is, you know, let's go out and have a good time. Let's play fast. Let's adjust. Let's not let things are going to happen in first games. You just can't let it affect you. You got to clap it off and move on to the next play and make the adjustments. I think opening games, as much as anything, are about in-game adjustments because, you know, teams are going to be a little different than they were the year before. So that puts a premium on the coaches being able to make those adjustments both between series and obviously at halftime, you know, as you move forward. So should be a lot of fun, and looking forward to the energy in the Swamp. Questions?
Coach, can you have you seen a difference in either Luke or the team since you named him starter?
Yeah, I think there's, I don't know, you know, just a feel, you know, not more than anything, or an observation. There seems to be a real kind of settling in there as far as that voice in the huddle, and which is a good thing. And I think as time goes, that's one of those deals that you've got to continue to move forward with that, you know, that leadership and that voice. And yet, you know, there's I've been reminded, I think there was one SEC championship here by a guy that is an ambassador to us, that I think a couple guys started 4 games apiece or something during that run. And so, you know, but I think the key is our guys settling into that voice and feel comfortable with his leadership back there.
Back to the right, Coach.
Coach, you've spoken about how special the game time atmosphere is in the Swamp.
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand.
In fact, I'm just thinking about right now, I kind of getting jacked up. So, yeah.
So, but how will it feel to roll out the first Florida Gator team ever to play on Steve Spurrier Florida Field?
Well, I hope they put some like winning turf in there or something. I got to ask our grounds guy, but no, I think that's something special, and obviously for him, I think what a fitting tribute, and you know, to have him back, I just and be a part of that is something that's pretty neat.
Nick up front.
Luke has some experience. This will be his first game starting.
Yeah.
What do you talk to him as a quarterback who has started some games himself? What do you tell him about how to manage that?
Well, I think, you know, it's something we kind of, Nuss and I talk about quite a bit, is you kind of forget that this is his first go-around, and it's almost like we expect him to do things a little bit like a veteran in how he approaches it and the decisions he makes, and yet, you know, we've got to be conscious of the fact, you know, I don't care who you are, this is the first time being out there and being the leader of the Florida Gators. You know, I think the big thing for him is, you know, as I constantly will tell him, you know, first off, what color jerseys we're going to be wearing that day, and be a pretty good idea to throw it to those colored jerseys. And then, you know, the second thing is take what the defense gives you, and eventually they'll give you the game. So, you know, remembering some of those things when you go in as an early starter, I think is huge.
Edgar.
Have you settled, so
You know what, that's getting my good side too. I'm glad
yeah,
you're
it
over
is
there.
actually.
Yeah, that's good.
So Appleby is the backup, I assume, but
Yeah.
have you made a decision between the two
You
freshmen?
know,
who
both
you
of
wanna
those
play?
guys, that's a good question, and it's something we're talking about right now. Because both those guys have done, and you're talking about Franks, obviously, and Trask. And, you know, I'd like to see to be able to get those guys some reps if possible. You know, because obviously we've got to have an established third at some point. And, you know, we'll kind of see where it goes from there. We haven't made a definitive decision yet on that. And yet, you know, that's something that we need to look down the road at, no doubt about it.
So you don't want to like stagger, have one red shirt?
Well, I mean, that just, you know, right now you just never know. I mean, you know, if you had a crystal ball, I think that'd be ideal. But I do know this, we've got to prepare somebody to play in that spot. And both those guys have done a really good job.
The other thing, do you expect anyone to be out per se? I mean, like injured out? And are there any suspensions that you have?
You know, we've had some guys that obviously have, you know, made some choices not to play in this game. And, but from the injury standpoint, you know, obviously the guys who are getting the surgeries, you know, we've talked about them, Riles, you know, and CJ and McWilliams, Linton, Khalif. Too early to tell really on Morton, you know, yet. You know, he hadn't gone in a long time. So, you know, this first 3 days will be kind of the telling thing, and I'll be able to tell you on Wednesday on that for sure.
Any choices besides Tabor and Willis?
Yeah, we've had a couple, you know, we got a couple freshmen that probably won't be going, and you know, a senior that made some choices, and yet, you know what, those guys will join us when time's ready.
Ronnie?
Coach, who will be the first tailback out there, or is that to be determined still this week?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot out there. I think, you know, right now, I think, you know, it was funny. I think you guys will get, you know, you get so entrenched on the depth chart, which simply means that nothing. Guys are going to play. I think Scarlett probably, Mark, Thompson. You know, Jordan obviously has had some days off. He was probably the number one guy there, you know, before then, but he should be ready to go. And we'll see LaMichael. And then Herndon, of course, you know, will play not only on all special teams, but in some specialty groups. So, you know, all those guys will see time.
And Del Rio seems like a very mature guy. Would that kind of be relevant on the field? I mean, as far as his pocket presence,
You know,
composure, things like that?
You know, I think it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier. I think, you know, let's not forget the fact this is his first start. So there's going to be some, you know, there's going to be some hiccups, and yet that's not an excuse. And I don't expect that from him. But at the same time, you know, we've got to understand it's going to be different. It's going to be different than, you know, the spring game, than the scrimmages, than, you know, the situational things we try to do to make it game-like. But there's nothing like the game itself. And I'll be interested to see how he handles it.
Mark?
Wouldn't be a news conference without a question about Callaway. Any clarity on his situation?
Yeah, he should be ready to go.
Is that good for you guys? I mean, now there was a lot of
I think
waiting.
it's good. That guy's a pretty good player. So I think it's pretty good.
When did you find that out?
I think it was, well, it would have been probably Friday, I guess, is from the standpoint of the things that, you know, I can't talk about, so. Boy, this is pretty good. You guys are still full from the ice cream bars, aren't you? That's what it is.
I picked a bad day to not come up here on that. I'll clarify. Oh, thank you. I'll clarify. The two freshmen, is that Cleveland and Wells?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you're pretty astute. Nicely done.
Gotta ask. Gotta ask.
Gary, we'll get your microphone there. Hold on.
Jim, are you looking forward to some? You looking forward to some pages of the offensive playbook that you're going to be able to open that you might not have had towards the end of last season when clearly there were some struggles at quarterback? Are there some things you think you're going to be able to do now? And
Boy, I sure hope so. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Are you just making this one up?
No.
Because it was dead silent
No,
in
no, I
here?
wanted to ask this one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, a lot of these openers, this was a team that moved up to Division I. I think it's won 8 games in 5 years since then. I mean, if the score does start to build up, I mean, how do you get the most out of a game like that and make sure that they're meaningful reps and that you're getting something out of it?
I think the big thing there is you can never, what you don't want to do is ever worry about the opponent, but worry about yourself. And when situations come up, how you handle them, both offensively, defensively, and in special teams. And to me, there's just so much learning that can go on in that opening game. That's why you have to make sure that you're sound in everything you're doing, more so because who knows really what you're going to see. You know their base, kind of, what they're, but they've got new players as well. I mean, you think about, our youth and the guys that are going to be, coming out there, it's the same thing. And as exciting as it is for us to play in the Swamp, there's actually some excitement for the other team as well, an opportunity to play in one of the greatest places in all of college football. That's pretty cool. So, it's about learning from the situations and not making it about an opponent, but really about yourself.
Throughout the offseason, you mentioned how the team finished last year and that being unacceptable.
Pretty miserable, wasn't it?
Is that something
You had to sit through it, too.
They
I'm
paid me
sorry.
to sit through it, though.
I'm sorry.
Is that something that you've brought up?
It's a bad
and
deal.
Is that something you've brought up in Saturday being
I don't
the
know.
first chance to?
I'm still hurting. So that's all I can say. That was miserable. So I'll leave it at that. And I'm sorry you had to go through it, too. I mean, all right. Thanks. Well, it's not good. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.